Rise and shine, it's a brand new day. Ken can take the stage, ready to play. Weekdays at 10, the cars and the scene. Coffee in hand, they're living the dream. Aggression in the voice, got the whole town awake. Bringing fire to the mic, make no mistake. Shows in the corner, spitting out facts. Dropping truth bombs, ain't holding back. Ken in the morning, feel the heat. From 10 a.m. CST, can take a seat. Live and loud, they're breaking the mold. Light up your speakers, crank up the sound. They're talking about life upside down. Opinions exploding like a sonic blast. In the studio, they're built to last. With passion and grit, they engage and ignite. Every single week, they're all foes can't fight. From sports to politics.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
There we go. What the heck happened there? Thank you, AI. Yeah. So let me do this real quick. There we go. All right. Well, now we're up and running with working audio. Wow. Weird. Yeah. I don't know. I just did a change. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Now we're up and running. So, yeah, we're down to Ken this morning. He may make it up back here a little bit. There we go. You gotta love StreamYard and technology, right? For as much as we take it for granted, that's always gonna work. Sometimes it doesn't. Good morning, Diane. So question for folks. I mean, we saw yesterday the Nick Chubb deal is 1 year, $5 million for the Texans. Probably a good deal for them. A couple Bears fans are happy that it's not with Chicago. And then Jair Alexander and that ongoing situation. I think that was probably some of the biggest news we've had post June 1st. Thank you, Jay. I try. I'm wondering where we're going to go from here with Jair Alexander, and there's still a lot of some good free agents that can help. Judon is still out there. Clowney's still out there. J.K. Dobbins is still out there at running back if the Bears want to maybe take a look at that, or some other teams. Bears still have – what do we have, Diane? I mean, you're a Packers fan, so I'm not expecting much there. Yeah, Jay, if you look at last year his stats for 7 games were probably better than some teams started the entire season. So, yeah, if he can be healthy, he's worth a flyer. Now, here's the thing. He had a pretty nice financial deal with the Packers. He's got some money still coming from that deal. But no one's going to pay him what he was getting in Green Bay. So he's going to have to take a He's going to have to take a prove-it deal. This is what he's going to have to do. What that deal is going to look like, I don't know, but you figure a lot of teams called his agent to kick the tires. And he probably said, well, I want 20 mil a year, whatever. And they're like, yeah, no, thank you. Just let us know when you get, when you come back to earth. There we go. So I don't think anyone's going to pay that. I think he'll get an incentive laden snap count, maybe, or percentage, right? So we'll see what happens. I think part of the deal with Alexander was he had an injury that he wanted to have surgery on. The team didn't. So he didn't. He came back like they wanted. He got hurt again and couldn't play. And he's like, no, I want the surgery. And then the money thing. And I think Green Bay's front office had a lot to do with creating this situation as well. Let's be honest. All these players are prima donnas on some level. I mean, they're the top 2,000 American football players in the world, right? There's about 2,000 under contract any time. Dude, if they don't have an ego, come on. They should have egos. They're that good. Yep. I don't know if it's true that he said that, Brent, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's like I said yesterday on the show, right? Like, the irony is just, it's funny. You won't give me my 20 million a year, and now you cut me. Oh, well, now I'm pissed at you. And to prove to you how stupid you were, I'm going to go play for another team for substantially less money just to beat you. I mean, think about your own job. If you left your current job to go work for a competitor for less money just to show your boss that you were worth more, are you really winning? But this is where he's at. So would he take less money to play for the North? I think he would take less money in terms of guaranteed. I think as long as it's the capability is there for him to make more with incentives, I think he's willing to take that now versus what he would before. Oh, we have a non-compete. Okay. Well, if you didn't have a non-compete, right, Jay, that's the idea there. If you have a non-compete, yeah, you're screwed. They decide to kick you to the curb. And you're like, well, crap. Yeah, I love that in Chicago. I think Minnesota would love that in Minnesota. The Raiders would love that. A lot of teams would love that. So now, Bears, fans are going to fan at this point and say, ooh, wouldn't it be great if we can get Jaire Alexander for this low price? And, someone's going to. I don't know if it's going to be the North. I don't know who's going to spend the money. I mean, the money's not really an option, or an obstacle, I should say, because everyone can rework cap if they have to. Very few teams are in a situation where they really would struggle. I think for like the Bears, the Lions, even the Vikings, it's not programmed in. Like they seem like if you've noticed, those three, and even the Packers to a degree, they've been programmed how they've spent their money. And this is why they're not in cap hell. Where you get in the cap hell is this kind of situation. You don't know, you're done with free agency. You've spent your money, and now this happens. And you're like, okay, well, I've got the money. And sure, for this year, it might not affect you. But now let's say you ink a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal. Now it's affected your money for the next 2 or 3 years, right? If you go longer term. And that might screw up what your plans were for extensions, for what you're going to look for in free agency the next year. But I think they could all do it. Jaire Alexander to one of these teams is not too far-fetched. I think that can really, really make an impact. So, yeah, we'll see where he goes, Jay. I mean, Detroit could use some good news, too. Let's face it, Detroit has not been without its fair share of not great news this offseason. I think that would be great, especially with Hutch coming back. If he went there, that'd be great for them. Because the secondary in Detroit, I think most believe it's still suspect. Outside of Detroit, maybe even some Lions fans think that secondary is suspect. So he would definitely improve their secondary in Detroit. But with Hutch coming back, that'd be, after the Ragnar retirement, which was also big news that we had here post June 1st. But with that, the loss of coaching, some other guys, I think that'd be welcome news in Detroit if Jair Alexander were to sign there. I don't know too many Lions fans who would be upset with that. The Vikings, they need a secondary. I don't know if Kwesi wants to mess with it, though. If he goes out of the division, I think the AFC would pursue him the most. A few teams, the AFC, Buffalo, and whatnot. Billy, the defense guy, Flores, on the show. Let me get my mouse here to work. Speaking of technology not working. There we go. That is outstanding, Billy. And look, if you're going to go to on the road for anywhere, contact Billy Flores, man. I went to the Redskins game last year for the Bears and contacted Billy a couple days out. Said, hey, man, where should I tailgate? And he hooked me up with the Commanders tailgating guys. And they were friggin' awesome. In fact, if you give me a second, it's Commanders, because we're playing there again this year. There we go. Commanders Corner Tailgate. I've got the contact info on my X. If you go to my X, hung out with them with Commanders Corner Tailgate before the game over there in the tailgating parking lot at the stadium there for the Commanders. Great time. They were awesome. And we had a really good time in that game. Besides the outcome of the game, but the tailgating with those guys is awesome. And if you ever get a chance to go to a Bears game, you get the tailgate with Billy and 1st and 10. I suggest you do it. Contact Billy for ticket prices for their tailgate. It's a pretty decent cost. All you can eat, all you can drink. Everyone I know who's gone to one of Billy's tailgates has had a blast. So outstanding to see this morning, Billy. Yeah, it was just, you kind of knew. Hold on. He can come on anytime he wants. He just has to drop a message. He knows that. And with Alice Hall. Back to Jay's comment. You kind of knew the coordinators were going to leave, right? Like you kind of knew the year prior after the NFC Championship game. Everyone was looking at AG and Ben anyways. More Ben than AG. But Ben said, look, I'm going to stay, give this thing another whirl. And so, Lions fans knew at the end of the year he was gone. And they pretty much knew AG was going to be gone. Losing some of the secondary coach, your other coaches like, wide receiver coach, stuff like that. Kind of expected some of that. Right, some movement with the lower coaches after the OCDC. You knew that they'd take a couple guys with them probably, or that they would go get promotions elsewhere. Ragnar retiring was kind of a shocker, though. That was a shocker. And then all the injuries you had last year. And honestly, for as much as good morning, Yoli. For as much as Lions fans like to say, oh, they don't affect us, that many injuries is going to affect. And hey, look, I've got a Joe this morning. Morning, Joe.
What's going on, man?
Safety for myself. We're just starting to talk about like some of the stuff with keeping the discussion going on Jair Alexander, where he might end up. Doing well, Yoli. Been busy, moved, new vehicles. It's been crazy. In fact, I go by the old house today, work on the pool over there. So been busy. Hope you've been doing well, Yoli. There you go. Jay says Raider Joe. And the Raiders are another spot Jair could end up.
I think they're a likely spot just because they have a history of overpaying corners that are either injury prone, past their prime, but have a name. I can see it.
My only problem with that kind of argument is that regimes change, right? And I get it. Like, look, I think with Brady in the mix and other stuff, I think the culture in the head shop changes some, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like with Chicago, the culture of what they sign and what they don't sign has changed with polls. Or is that a Davis family thing where they continue to just override the GM, say no, go get that corner? You know what I mean?
No, it's that it's one of our absolute biggest needs. Like after the draft and everything, we really need a corner. Like, and so if you look at what's available at corner, he's the best of the bunch that's available at corner.
Yeah.
So why are you not going to go get the best, at least on paper, the best available corner if that's what you need and you have the money, right? Like you're gonna go make a shot at that. So that's what makes me say that. But it's just I feel like they're gonna overpay, and Jair hasn't shown that he can stay healthy, man. And that's the last thing we need is a guy who's going to be there for 7 games and then take up a roster spot and, $15 million a year.
See, that's the perplexity about Jair, right? Because like we know the injury history was he wants surgery. The Packers said no. Let's see if it heals. Okay, fine. I don't want to do that. We have a fine. And then he comes back because he doesn't do the surgery, re-injures it or injures it further. So I wonder though if the injury history is a kind of a misnomer to that degree. Like now, if he's been able to take care of it or it's healed, you know what I'm saying? Is it that problem? But then there's another piece of that, Joe, with what you said. That's like we're a team like the Bears. Like I don't have to have him, right? Like if I get him, is he value added? Yeah, I just put Tyreek Stevenson on the bench, who I think like if Tyreek Stevenson were a free agent, the Raiders would run to sign him right now. Tyreek Stevenson going to be a third-year player, minus all the bad press from the Hail Mary last year, which really had zero effect on the play, right? I mean, actually, he was the guy who was able to get in position to make a play on the ball out of all of them. I don't have to count on Jair for 17. If I get Jair for 9 and then Stevenson for the other 8, I'm actually pretty good with that, because of the depth. So, I mean, if you're a team with depth at corner where you can take more of the risk, then I think he's good to go there too. Steve said he got in trouble last night on a Vikings podcast saying the Vikings signed Alexander on a 4-year. Yeah, I can understand why they'd put you in timeout, Steve.
Yeah. The Raiders don't have that depth. So, and they really need another corner. Like Darian Porter is, he's not going to be ready, I don't think. He's kind of a project that Pete Carroll drafted because of his measurables and stuff. So I think they don't want to start him to start the season. They want to give him some time to develop. So I think they're going to go out and try to find a veteran corner. And really, we just don't have. I don't think we have any veteran corners on our roster right now. I think all of them are young.
Yeah, there really isn't much out there. I mean, I think it depends on what he's willing to take as a base and what he's willing to take as incentives. Like that was his big problem with Green Bay. He's like he didn't want the incentive blading, but now he's going to be forced into it, right? I mean, because like otherwise, dude, no one's going to sign you. He's getting to that point unless he's probably someone will sign me without making an incentive laden. And maybe there is someone that desperate, but there's going to be a place where, he's going to get paid, but they're not going to win much, right? So there's that give and take. Like, sure, you can get your $20 million guaranteed this year, but you're going to be on a team that wins 3 games. Or you could take $10 million guaranteed this year, right? And have another 10 or 15 million in incentives, so you can maybe make 25, but you might get a playoff shot or maybe even a ring.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what the contenders cap space looks like. I don't think he's going to a team that's not a contender and making them a contender. Like, I don't think he's he's that good that he's gonna, take a team that's like, let's say, like Seattle, for example, right? Like we don't look at Seattle. Seattle's not a bad team. They're
Right,
not a
they're a
contender.
contender. They're a contender in the division. Good morning, Nicholas. They're a contender maybe in their division, but
Maybe in their
not,
division, right?
not
But
the
not a contender for the Super Bowl. Like, they're a contender possibly to win their division, right? Like, I don't think them getting him makes them a Super Bowl contender. So, I don't know.
Hey Joe, could you imagine us on the Las Vegas Sphere? We might scare tourists away.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, that would be cool though. Yeah, I mean, like Steve is talking about his attitude, and he's glad that he's out of Green Bay. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, see, the Bills could definitely use him too. I would say he would take a team that's on a playoff contending team. He would elevate their defense. Like let's say you're a team that already has a good defense. Like let's say your Buffalo has a pretty decent defense, but what's their weak point? Their secondary is a little weak. He would definitely improve Buffalo. He would improve Cincinnati. He would improve Pittsburgh. If we're looking at some AFC teams, he would give Pittsburgh's front is good. He would definitely improve their secondary to a degree.
I don't know. I don't know if he improves Cincinnati's defense all that much. Like I'm not saying he won't improve it at all, but like you can't have one or two players on your defense, man. Like you can't have Hendrickson and Jair, and that's it. Like
no, but I mean, look at though. You've got a shutdown when he's healthy.
Yeah, shutdown corner and a really good pass.
The NFL sack leader. I mean, that has to be that's going to help because I mean, how many times did Hendrickson get there, almost get there, and it didn't matter who the quarterback went to; they're going to be wide open. Now that limits opportunities and maybe elevates the level of the other corner some. Or now you can double. You can have Jair on a single, and now you can have a double on another receiver. I mean, it would improve them.
Yeah, like I said, I think it will improve them. I just question. Like it's not going to make them a good defense. Like
no, it'd make them better. It wouldn't make them a great defense, but it would definitely give them a better shot than where they currently are. Like their defense would become a little bit less of a joke. They still wouldn't be good or great, but they would be better. I mean, if you look at some other teams, though, like if you look at teams like the Bears, who have a pretty good secondary. He could come to Chicago, and if we're worried about injury, he doesn't have to play every down. Like we got the depth; he could split time.
What about San Francisco? I know they don't really have the cap space, but if they could swing that, dude, because they just lost Charvarius Ward, right?
Yeah.
They need a corner. They go get Jair Alexander. Now they pair him with Bosa and Fred Warner, and like, dude.
I mean, and if you can go to a team where you don't have to be on the field every down, and that limits if you got a team that's got enough depth like the Bears do, or you could split time with Tyreek Stevenson, right? Tyreek Stevenson plays in the base, you play the nickel kind of thing, right? You can help yourself and still help that team. And so if you can find another situation out there like that where you can go to a team that has that kind of flexibility where they've got depth, then you can get even more out of Alexander.
Do you think Jair's going to go for that, though?
I don't think he cares as long as he beats the Packers this year. I mean, let's be honest. If I'm Jair Alexander, if I go to a team in the North, I'm probably thinking a 1-year deal. Actually, almost anywhere he goes is a 1-year deal. So if his goal is to stick at the Green Bay this year, he's going to go first look at the North, then he's going to look at the East, and then he's going to at the East and the AFC North. That's what he's going to do. He's going to look at the 3 divisions. We know he's guaranteed to play the Packers this year. And then after that, he's going to look at teams that he's guaranteed to play against the Packers this year. I mean, that just seems to be his little mission right now. I mean, and I get it. And players do that. But, I mean, he's going to be on a 1-year prove-it deal. But, like, if he can go to Chicago, let's say if he's still worried about his knee a little bit. Like, and only he can answer that, right? We don't know how good the knee is or how bad the knee is. Only he really, truly knows. Because even the doctors may say, yeah, he's good to go, but he knows if there's still pain that maybe, because some things don't show up in the MRI, right?
Mhm.
And he goes, hey, look, if I go sign with Chicago and I don't have to play full time, I can split time or take, 75-25, where I'm not taking every snap and I can extend my body a little bit more. Now I can go get a big payday after this contract and achieve my goal.
I think his ego won't allow him to not play every snap, like to not be the guy,
Yeah, I
I
don't
think he's one of
disagree
those
with that.
guys that
I mean, they all have that ego, right? I mean, these are the top 2,000 or so football players in the world that get NFL contracts. Think about it. Between the 53-man rosters and the practice squads, there's roughly 2,000 people under contract in the NFL during the season. They are the 2,000 best athletes at their sport in the world. They should all have even practice squad guys should have an ego and do. And for good
but
reason.
I think Jair's ego is a little bit bigger than
Yeah.
it's a little bit bigger than average,
But he's better than average. He's better than the average corner in the NFL. So
yeah, I'm not saying he's not. He's a very talented player, but he's healthy. He's a game changer when he's healthy. So
all I know is Aaron Rodgers is thanking the Packers right now because all the attention was on him going to the Steelers, and then the Packers said, "Here, hold our beer. We'll give you all something to talk about." Because you notice how the Aaron Rodgers talk just all of a sudden stopped after the Chubb signing and Alexander cutting. Like no one cared about Aaron Rodgers signing with the Steelers anymore.
But man, that's a huge signing too. Like I feel like the Steelers, to me, they're the favorites in the division now.
Really?
Like, yeah.
I still have
as much as Baltimore is like. I know Baltimore is like the odds-on favorite. Everybody's thinking Baltimore has got it. Like, if you think about it, what is Pittsburgh? The only thing Pittsburgh's really been missing this whole time is a competent quarterback, man, and they finally got it. I mean, their offensive line had some problems too, but I don't know, man.
I mean, Russ is pretty competent, and Justin went 4-2 with a shitty O-line. They started the year really bad, and he's still in 4-2. I wouldn't say they did not have competent quarterback play. I think they had good.
Okay, let's not say competent then. Like Fields was playing pretty well for them. I don't know why they benched him. I don't think Russ did that well for them, but I mean, it's potato. But like good quarterback play, like competent and good are two separate things. Like I don't think like. Fields, he had them winning, but if you look at his stat line, it wasn't phenomenal. It wasn't.
It was a lot of running.
A lot of running, but he did what he needed to do, and they were winning games. Like that's at the end of the day, that's what you want, Like, So I'm not trying to crap on the dude. I'm just saying, like, are Russ or Justin Fields anywhere near the league of Aaron Rodgers? No,
I mean,
not even now.
I think
not even Aaron now.
Yeah, I think Aaron has a better understanding of the game than those two for sure, and he's
better arm talent.
Yeah, it's funny though because like Russ and him have the same pedigree in terms of Super Bowl rings, but Steve asked, "Do you guys think Alexander was the best defensive player in the Packers? Be honest." And he follows up to say he does not think he was the best defensive player when healthy. When healthy, yes, I think he's the only guy in that defense you avoided when healthy.
Are we talking about like just in the secondary, or are we talking about because I mean, if you're talking to me, the best defensive player on the Packers is Rashawn Gary. Like, I think Gary's a beast.
Gary, I mean, that's a compelling argument.
But I think
over McKinney and Cooper, yeah.
Or McKinney, I forgot all about McKinney actually. Like, I think Rashawn Gary's a beast. I think McKinney last year had a phenomenal year. Like,
yeah, it's funny though watching some of those interceptions early though. A couple of them were the easiest INTs you've ever seen in your life. Where he happened to just be standing there and the ball happened to go right to him. I just.
It's like McKinney's that sometimes.
Good. Yeah, it's like that sometimes. McKinney was really good for them early. Rashawn Gary is really good, but Jair is the guy you fear. You can scheme Gary. McKinney was just opportunistic last year. He's good, but Jair is a guy who you kind of feared more. And it'll be interesting to see where he ends up and what his career looks like after this. I mean, I didn't think the Packers were going to cut him this year, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to roll with him.
I also think Edgerrin Cooper has a chance to be that guy going forward. Like, Edgerrin Cooper looked pretty good, and I think they're putting their chips on him, like to be that middle linebacker, to be that leader of the defense, Yeah, I think he would.
Yeah,
I think we've been talking about that already. Like,
yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Bears have the depth where if he only plays 7 or 8 games, it's fine because Tyreek Stevenson, and maybe it helps up Tyreek Stevenson's game. But if you have a healthy Jair Alexander with a Jalen Johnson and the other guys we have back there, I mean, talk about a no-fly zone.
I was reading yesterday, and I just read this morning that Terry McLaurin is not going to the off-season workouts, and
no contract extension.
Yeah, he's been, and from what I've been reading, the Commanders do not want to give him, or they've been dragging their feet on a contract extension, and it's pissed them off. And so there was some speculation that, if he was traded, what teams would be interested, And I don't know why they always do this, but they threw the Raiders in there, and I actually wouldn't be upset with that because we need a number 1 receiver.
Well,
and
he is their heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if they trade him, but if they were willing to trade him, I say, if you're not going to get Jair Alexander, then go get Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry is yeah, there you go. John says it. When Alexander was on the field, the cover sacks took a big dip. And kind of switching off from we're catching up a couple of the comments there on Alexander, but going to the Scary Terry situation, he is their heartbeat, and they need to pay him. And the Bears would be out on him. I don't think the Vikings would be in on him. The Packers might want to be in on Scary Terry. The Lions would want to be in on Scary Terry within the NFC North. There are not many teams that would not be in on Scary Terry. I think the Raiders it would help. It would another weapon. You'd have 2 legit receivers to go with your legit tight end and your suspect running back.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's only suspect because he hasn't played yet.
Yeah.
We'll find out really fast.
We'll find out really quick.
But and I'm not saying that as like I'm 100% sure that he's going to be it. But I'm really hoping that all this hype is.
I mean, what would you have to give up for Scary Terry? That's the question.
Well, according to CBS Sports, or I don't know if it was Bleacher Report or CBS Sports, but they said that they would expect the Commanders to want a day 1 pick, which I think that's a little rich for a guy that's not under contract. Like,
true.
I would, if the Raiders gave him a 2nd rounder, I would run to the bank. I would be ecstatic with that.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting a day 1 pick with the contract situation. I don't know why do these media outlets and fans always do that? Oh, it's going to take a day 1 pick to get this guy. And it never does. It never does, right? It's like it's always a day 2 or a day 3 pick. Yeah. I wouldn't give up.
If I could give up less than a 2nd rounder, I would, obviously.
Yeah, but I wouldn't give up more than a 2nd rounder with the contact. I would give up. I mean, look at some of the bigger guys who have gone recently. Most of them are 2nd round picks.
Yeah, if like I said, that would be like my max price that I'd be willing to pay. If they were like, we're not doing it for less than a 2nd, I'm not going to let that get in the way. I'm not going to let that keep me from getting them. But if they wanted a first, I'd be like, yeah, nah. I'm not giving up my first next year, like in
I
a
mean, the
better
Bears
quarterback
gave
class.
up 2 firsts for Khalil Mack. A lot of teams are willing to do that for Khalil Mack. Generational edge rusher, though. Is McLaurin a generational receiver?
No. He's a good
Is
receiver.
Is he a top 10 receiver?
Possibly.
What about a top 5?
No, I don't. I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like Justin Jefferson. Let's see, Jamar Chase. Help me out here, Ken. I'm sure we can come up with 5 that are
That's what
better
I'm
than
saying.
him.
No,
Right?
I would put him in the top 5, I think.
Would you?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, I'm trying to think of 5 receivers who are better. Let's see.
Well, that's what I'm
You
saying.
got
He doesn't get all.
Justin Jefferson.
He doesn't
You
get
got
all the
Jamar
flash.
Chase.
He doesn't get the flashy press like Tyreek Hill. He's not in a
Tyreek
major
Hill.
market like DJ Moore. He's not, but the dude produces at a high level. Let me see where he ranked last year. 2024 NFL wide receiver rankings.
Yeah. But I mean, so you got Tyreek, you got JJ, you got Jamar Chase, you got, I would say, Mike Evans. Let's see.
All right, so this one list I'm looking at, their top 10 from 10 to 1 would be AJ Brown, then JSN, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown, and then at 5 you get Brian Thomas, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase being the best. That was on NFL Spin Zone. That was their list.
Yeah. So I don't put him in the top 5 because I forgot about Neighbors. Like I would put Neighbors over him.
See what CBS Sports says with their.
They have a couple on there though 20. That I don't necessarily agree with, like Drake London.
So at 20,
I don't think.
Well, let's look at CBS. The CBS has Amari Cooper at 20, Nico Collins at 19, Devontae Smith at 18, Debo at 17, Cooper Kupp at 16. They have Scary Terry at 15. Last year, 132 targets, 79 receptions, 1,002 yards, 4 touchdowns, no fumbles lost. He's had 900 plus receptions. Wait. McLaurin may be the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. He is one of just 6 players to record 900 plus receptions in each of his first reception yards in each of his first 5 seasons, joining Mike Evans, AJ Green, Randy Moss, and Jerry Rice. And he's accomplished that without his historic turnover. Yeah, I mean, he almost gets a new quarterback every year. Interesting in his stats, though. I mean, he is probably underrated. So I would say, though, based off that, day 2. For sure, day 2. Not a day 1.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I put him in the top 5. Maybe in the top 10, like, because there's a couple guys on that top 10 list that I don't think deserve to be there. You know, like Jerry Jeudy. Are you kidding me? Jerry Judy's in the top 10.
Well,
Drake London,
CeeDee Lamb doesn't. I don't think he deserves to be on there with what they did in Dallas.
I think Lamb deserves to be in the top 10, not top 5, but top 10. Like, maybe in the latter part of the top 10. He's pretty good, man.
Well, McLaurin is
a game record.
McLaurin is Scary Terry is clutch. I would call him. He's near that elite status. I would call him a day 2. They would get a day 2. If the Raiders were to spend a day 2 pick on him, I don't think there'd be many upset Raiders fans.
No, I wouldn't be upset. Even if we have to give him a contract afterwards, like, I wouldn't be.
Actually, his market, wow. The Chargers.
Yeah, I could see the Chargers being interested.
Denver. Yeah.
Kansas City.
Buffalo.
Kansas City.
Yeah. Okay, here's a team that wouldn't be Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They got enough money tied up in receiver. Pittsburgh would be interested.
Mhm.
Miami probably not. They got Waddle and Reek. The Bears probably
Jacksonville.
not. Jacksonville would. Carolina would. What about the Texans?
Yeah, I think they could use it. Like they lost Diggs, and there's like Tank Dell. That injury was nasty. He's coming back, but is he going to be fully healthy to start the season? Who knows? So
Indy.
Indy, definitely Indy.
Yeah. Arizona. Oh, could you imagine Scary Terry with Junior?
With Marvin Harrison. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be good.
The Rams, maybe. I was just going to say the Rams because
yeah,
they got rid of Cooper Kupp and
yeah, but they got Devontae and
they got Devontae and they got Puka. I don't know.
And Puka, this is what year 3, so they got to pay him soon.
Yeah, so I don't know.
That would be too many big contracts. That's why the Bears wouldn't, because the money thing gets away, and that's why the Vikings wouldn't.
Maybe Seattle. Maybe Seattle with JSN.
Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit. I mean, there's a lot of suitors. I don't know if Green Bay would trade the pick, though, because Goody's kind of stingy with that. I don't think Goody would make the deal. I don't know if Brad Holmes would make the deal. I think Kwesi would make it if he didn't already have 2 receivers. Or he would do it. Actually, I'm not going to rule them out. If they think that there's a possibility they may lose Addison for some time with his trial he's about to have, why he's doing a jury trial for a DUI is beyond me. He's going to lose. And he's going to be out probably 5 to 6 games. So maybe Minnesota might do it. Scary Terry would help a lot of teams. Second round.
I don't know if Minnesota would like. I agree with you. Because I was thinking that very thing about Addison. Like he might miss some time, but they're going to have to give him a contract. Like you're not going to give up a 2nd round pick for a 1-year rental. Like you're going to have to give him a contract. But then where does he fit after Addison comes back? That's
You know what I like about this whole thing about Scary Terry? Bears fans were not an option. I don't have to hear Bears fans saying how we're going to get this guy.
Yeah.
I would love Scary Terry on this roster or on a Bears roster, but nope, they're not going to even kick the tires on this one. There's a lot of good places he can go. I saw that the other day too about the contract, and I'm like, I'm surprised that Washington is dragging its feet with him because as Mitch enters the conversation, good morning, Mitch. Scary Terry's been your heartbeat. He's a fan favorite. Yeah, now Jaden Daniels is taking some of that limelight, but I mean, he's your fan favorite. He's been your one consistent spot on your offense. He's been the guy you can count on as a team leader, both on and off the field. Why are you dorking around with his contract? Just get it done, Commanders. I mean,
I think it has the potential to have a ripple effect in the locker room too, because like everybody knows that he's been the only guy that's like consistently produced for you, and they're like, if you're not even going to pay this dude, then what chance do I have? Like, it's you're not convincing people that you want that you're good players, that you want them to stick around if you're going to do Terry like this,
I mean, or could you imagine him in Baltimore?
I think that would put them over the top. I think if he went to Baltimore, like, how do you not pick them as Super Bowl favorites?
Yeah. I mean, that offense, oof.
Or can you imagine if they like made a clean sweep? Can you imagine if they got Jair and Terry?
Because like for Baltimore, man, they've never really had the receiving core. Like they've got the running back situation, like has always been on lock to some degree with them. Now it's really on lock with King Henry there, and he's like Frank Gore, man. This dude just is going to run forever. King Henry might run for another 10 years, man. I mean, like Frank Gore did. And Frank Gore was still like, you're like, what? How many years does Gore in the league? 15? And even his last 2 or 3 years, he was still a solid running back, in the NFL. I mean, if Baltimore pulled off, let me see what they have cap. Let me hold on. God, because you know what? That is so, you're making me think, Joe. I like this. Let me see.
Well, it just makes sense because if you think about it, they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? They always are.
Baltimore has 18. So for this year, Baltimore is 18.9 million in cap.
But one thing we haven't heard this offseason is about any restructures or anything like that with Baltimore. So
They've got
like,
room.
I'm sure they could make room, like they could restructure a couple contracts and they could potentially make offers to both of them. And I think it's one of those things where if they land one, the other would be more likely to go, because why wouldn't you want to go to a loaded team where you're now the Super Bowl favorites,
Well, and remember,
Like if they were to land Terry.
That's 91 people on their active roster, and they have 18.9 available. So, but you listen, look at, wow, this is amazing. You want to hear some of their dead money, Joe? 8.3 million to Odell Beckham Jr. 8 million to Ronnie Staley. 6 million to Marcus Williams. 3.2 million to Nelson Aguilar. 2.8 million to Justin Tucker. Crazy. They've got the cap space, though. They could pull off.
Pull a couple of restructures, and they could. Yeah, that's fine. You don't have to make him the top paid at his position.
Since he wouldn't do it, they've got too much money tied up in wide receiver. That's why we ruled Cincy out.
And no defense.
Pittsburgh for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, man, if Baltimore was to, I'm not even saying Baltimore is interested, but if they were, they should be,
a couple teams I think that Joe and I, for Steve's application, that we think are probably no chance in hell that they would get in on a trade for Scary Terry would be the Bears, would be one. Minnesota would be another. Basically, Cincinnati. Basically, any team that's already got a lot of money tied up into at least two receivers. In the Bears case, you've got big money in DJ Moore. You've got first rounder money in Odunze, and now you've got second rounder money on another receiver.
Luther Burden.
Luther Burden, high second round money. So he would go there. Yeah, the Chargers, we mentioned the Chargers would be a good fit for him. I mean, there's a lot of places. Let's see, Broski, all nasty young receivers. Puka, Brian Thomas, Neighbors, Harrison G. McConkey, Nigba. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams are either. The Rams probably would not be in on him because they've already got Devontae now, and they've got Puka. Also, the
Cardinals might, though.
The Cardinals would be. I mean, him and Harrison Jr. would be pretty nasty.
That would make the Cardinals better instantly.
Yeah, I don't think the Lions would, because they still have some faith in J-Mo. Yeah, that's right. Cooper Kupp is up there. Could you imagine though, Kupp with Scary Terry up there in Seattle and Njigba? But yeah, that's right. So Seattle might be out because they just got Kupp. New England.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about New England.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely. And look at another team that's out, Tampa Bay. They've got and they just drafted a stud receiver from Ohio State. They're not going to be in on this. The only Florida team that would be in on this might be Jacksonville. Might try to get in. Lions have like 40 or 45 million in cap, John, but they do have contracts coming up. But for this year,
maybe Atlanta. Maybe Atlanta might be interested.
Wow. Broski's saying Scary Terry would be like a fourth rounder and a contract to him, of course.
I mean, I'll take it. I'll give him the fourth rounder right now.
Yeah, that dude's going to be nasty, I think, down there in Tampa. They got a receiving core now.
Yeah, I would give him a fourth rounder right now. Yeah, Josh Allen. Dude, the Bills, I think the Bills would be a serious contender because for Terry if he becomes available, because they need a receiver badly.
I would say their ceiling for Scary Terry is a second rounder if there becomes a bidding war. Their floor is most teams will probably come in offer a fifth, right? Because they want to get negotiated up. You can always negotiate up. You can't negotiate the price or what you're going to pay them to be less. right? So you're going to come in low and then you're going to go high or higher. But,
Mhm.
Broski might not be wrong. I think he would end up getting, I'd say split the difference. Probably they'll get a third-round pick because there are enough teams who would probably jump at it. There are enough teams that would jump at. What about the Giants? Add him with Neighbors.
That's another strong, yeah.
But I don't think that would ever happen. They're not going to trade in the division. Not Scary Terry.
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, if it comes down to like all these teams are offering a third and they're trying to pick which third they want, if I'm the Raiders, I go ahead and cut their legs out. I'm like, dude, I'll give you the second right now. Like,
this is why we're not GMs, Joe, because we would overpay all the time.
Well, see, that's to me, I don't think that's an overpay. I think, we just spent a second round pick on Jack Betch, who, we don't even know what he's going to be. Like, Terry is a proven product.
Well, look at the Bears. We spent a second round pick on Mapletron, right? And look how he's not even in the league anymore. Like, the Bears spent the second round pick at the draft at the deadline for Claypool.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do much when he got to the Bears, and then he didn't do much the offseason. He looked great. Remember, he was lauded. That's why I love preseason news. And, oh, my God, Chase Claypool's going to be awesome. Yeah, he made one or two nice catches for the Bears, but then, we couldn't wait to get rid of him. And what has he done since we got rid of him? He couldn't stick anywhere. He went to Miami, did nothing to Miami. Is he in the CFL right now? Look at – I think
there's a difference there, though, Ken. Like Claypool, the Bears were betting on potential with Claypool.
Right.
Like he wasn't a proven commodity.
That's what I'm saying. And he's not showing signs of decline.
So Terry is a proven commodity. Like to me, it's like if you're talking about risk reward, this is about as clear cut of a case of low risk, high reward as you can get.
Because you're getting a proven asset that still has potential and isn't showing decline. So I think there'll be a lot of teams
I would give him the second. I'm like, if that's what's holding it up, take the second right now. Just say yes.
Now look at what do you think the odds Washington would even trade McLaren?
I mean, I think if they don't get serious about talking contracts soon, like he might just ask for a trade.
Do you think he might try to force the trade then?
I think if they don't get serious about a contract soon, that he might. Because it's showing like
there's a lot of talented wide receivers, and then there's Scary Terry, though. I mean, and I get it. He's listed a lot of great receivers, but Scary Terry's at worst, top 15. At worst, top 15 in this league. So, yeah, you got 32 teams. You got 64 starting receivers if they're doing a 2-receiver set, 96 if you're doing 3 receiver sets. I mean, and he's in the top 15. So, I mean, granted, Broski's making a great argument that there are a lot of talented wide receivers, but, dude, not at Scary Terry level, though. I mean, I think Scary Terry, if you take a team that has at least one really good receiver and now you add him for a second rounder or a third rounder and pay him some money, especially if you've got a young talent like a Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. or someone like that. I mean, now you've got a solid wide receiving room for 2, 3, 4 years minimum with the rookie deals. That's because look, even let's say you're Arizona and you make the trade and you're going to give Scary Terry $30 million a year, right? And now you've got him, let's say, under contract for 4 years, and you've still got 4 more years of Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 5th-year option, of course. And by the time you get having to pay Harrison Jr., right, the money you're paying Scary Terry doesn't really factor as much anymore. Broski asked, do the Raiders have any wide receivers? Damn, Joe. No love for your team.
Well, we have Jacoby Myers, and he's good, but he's a number 2 guy. And that's why I said I would pay a second rounder for Terry right now, because if you get Terry, now all of a sudden Brock Bowers is going to be that much more open. Plus, we'll see how Dante Thornton does. I know that Broski's not that high on him because he's from Tennessee, but I feel like the dude could be something. And, he's going to be at the very least our deep threat decoy, like to take the top off the defense because he runs a 4-3, 6'4", runs a 4-3, dude. Like,
this is definitely a situation we need to monitor. And if you're a Commanders fan, well, Raiders fan, HTTR, let us know in the comments what you're thinking, because I mean, I do tag the Commanders fans on X for this. I know we get a lot of people watch on X, not many comments from X, because I know X seems like can be hard to make a comment. But please, if you're on X, drop us a comment and hit that little heart. That goes a long way for the show, please. Help us improve the reach. And same thing on the YouTube and the Facebooks. Share it, like it. Love your guys' comments. Love to hear from you guys on X, though, where a lot of you are. Yeah, the Redskins. There you go, Nicholas. See, Nicholas gets it. We're old school football fans. I mean, there's a lot of really good guys out there, but I think Terry would be a great addition to a lot of different teams, and he would definitely give him the Josh Allen. Give him to the Raiders with Pete Carroll's new offense. Give him to there are a couple teams like Baltimore. Like, really, Baltimore has never really had a legit receiver who's not aging out of their prime. And even this year, you want to look at the Ravens. Look at the receiving core this year. I mean, what did the Ravens do for the receiver? Who they signed? They go out and sign another old guy, right? They go out and they who they got? Hold on a second. Let me look at the receiving core.
I know they got Flowers.
Okay, so Flowers, yes, he's
all right.
He's the potential.
He's not great. He's all right.
He's the potential, but then he's got injuries already, right? So if I look at the Ravens receiving core, right, right now, if I look at their lineup and PFF, as I'm using them to show me their okay, right now they've got Bateman, Flowers are the receivers they're starting. But didn't they just sign someone this offseason? I'm sure someone's saying it in the comments and I'm not even seeing it. Nope. Scary Terry was Shedeur Sanders. Look, yeah, he would help in Cleveland. He would definitely be an asset in Cleveland. Let me see who Baltimore's receiving core, what it looks like in total. They've got Dayton Wade, Anthony Miller, Malik Cunningham, Zay Flowers. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins they signed. Once again, an aging out veteran. They signed D-Hop, who didn't do much for KC last year. Didn't do much since he left Tennessee, really. I mean, so yeah. I mean, giving Lamar a legit receiver for once, a proven legit receiver, definitely would help the Raiders, Steve.
Definitely.
So yeah, some interesting.
Not
things
just with his production, but with the attention that he would draw, that would open up other targets for us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's one of those guys. Not only will he help in production, but he opens up other players, your tight ends, your other receivers. He opens up your playbook. We're down about the last minute and a half. Thank you, Joe, for being on with me this morning. Tomorrow I will not be here. It'll be the other Ken. I got to go register the boy for his new high school. Don't forget right after us will be JB this morning. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we'll also have House Hall Report tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 on the East. And, of course, Ken and Joe and the guys will be back here tomorrow. We also have MMA Maniacs tomorrow, right? The MMA show with Joe and Ken. That's at 2 p.m. Central, correct? Yeah, 2 p.m. Central. Or is that 3 Central?
It's 12 Pacific. So
2 o'clock Central. So you can definitely catch us there on X and all our other platforms. Don't forget to watch us on Roku and Fire TV. Go to your Roku or Fire Stick or Fire TV and hit search for the Huddle Sports Network or Huddle Sports, and you'll see our little microphone thing. Download us, watch us on the TV. Have a great day, Nicholas. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. Go get a taco.